B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East coast to the west, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed, still a B-boy.
This week, we're taking a walk on the darker side. We're heading to Denver, Colorado to talk to a female artist that doesn't fit into one category. Mixing horrorcore hip hop with nu metal, she has created her own lane. Ladies and gentlemen, Jade the Nightmare. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing really good. I just came back from a retreat actually. Went up to the mountains in Colorado. Just it felt really good to get away. I'm so creative right now. It's been crazy.
That's great. So since this is a focused on hip hop podcast, I start everyone the same. Do you remember the first time you heard hip hop?
Ooh, you know what? Actually, I grew up primarily listening to hip hop. My mom used to play a lot of that '80s rap. That's kind of what I grew up hearing, and then I got more into the '90s as I started, developing more. Mainly listening to Tupac, honestly. Like a lot of that, just like gangster rap, really resonated with me, and I hone in on that on some of my music too. It's just like harnessing like that struggle,
Mm-hmm. So who were your first favorite artists as a kid? Who were the handful of artists that you gravitated towards?
Right, right. All right, so I'll start with hip hop because that's like my primary one. So Tupac at the top for sure. I love me some Biggie. I listened to a little bit LL Cool J growing up. Might be shocking, but you know what? I listened to that a little bit. I'm pretty versatile with what I listen to. And then I actually had a friend in high school that got me into like the metal stuff, actually, like more the rock and all that. Then I started listening to Korn, System of a Down, all of that. But I really pull a lot of influence from that, that early influence of rapping, rap and hip hop.
Right. So when did you get to the point where you decided, maybe I can do this? When you started writing, making music yourself, what point in time was this?
I had to be I was probably like 12 years old, actually. My dad came in my room one day and he was like, "Hey, I got a gift for you." And it was a Yeti mic. I still have the mic in my closet. I should have pulled it out to show, but I still got that mic. That mic means so much to me. That was the first mic I recorded my first album on, a portion of my second album too. And I was just such a I've always been like a pretty creative kid, honestly. Like I really needed that sort of outlet as an escape. So then I started getting into like writing stories, drawing, things of that nature. And it was just it really was an outlet for me. It really got me out of like a dark time because sad story. I talk about live my music too, but my dad passed away probably like 1 or 2 years, I think, after I got my first microphone. And from that moment, I was just like, this is for me. Like, this is definitely going to be my outlet for sure.
You start writing, you start making music. When did you come up with the stage name Jade the Nightmare?
Yes. So the story has, it's developed over time. And what I usually tell people about the nightmare part of my name is like, nightmares can be pleasant. Sometimes they're not pleasant until later on in life. And I think that really resonates with my music too, is a lot of it focuses in on like the darker themes of our reality and things of that nature. But, we learn from those things, and, those things really bring to light where our traumas are, where the darkness is that lies in every single one of us. I'm a firm believer that we all have, demons. We all have darkness that resides inside. So I mean, nightmare, it can mean so many different things, and that's where that comes from.
What do you think made you gravitate? I mean, you were kind of touching on this, but gravitate to the more darker or horrorcore, what they label that type of hip hop. What made you kind of gravitate towards that? Do you even consciously know it just felt right?
I don't know how this happened. One day, it still hasn't, it still hasn't fully came to me, but I found Smalls One. Just one day, I was on YouTube and I was probably in like what grade was that? Maybe like ninth or 10th grade. And I just went on a whole binge of Dark Half and, all these different artists that belong to the genre of like hardcore, darker rap. Right. And something just really spoke to me about it. Like, I was just like, it was something, because I've always been an outcast, and that's something that, really, really stuck with me. And darker music, it just was a way for me to really release that. And I listened to these artists and I was like, they're so raw. It's something that you don't hear in the mainstream. It's
Right.
something that is taboo that a lot of people don't talk about. And I think that's what makes the community so close knit. Side note, but I met Scum a couple of weeks ago actually at
Mm-hmm.
a Ouija Mac concert. And it was just crazy because it just felt like home. Like even just you know someone over Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're one of your main influences of the music, and you meet them one day and it's just like crazy. Like we relate so much in ways that a lot of people don't talk about. So yeah, like I think that was my introduction, was just hardcore music. It just found me, really. I still can't pinpoint an exact period in time that I found it. It just came to me. Like I don't know.
It's interesting you bring up Scum because I actually have him scheduled next month. He's going to be a guest. So
Hey.
yeah, I'm representing the Colorado horrorcore scene. But how you talked about how, meeting someone you looked up to, and sometimes that can be, I've got to meet people I grew up listening to. It wasn't a great experience. Then I got to grow up, I'm in my mid 40s, so I grew up on Run DMC and Old School Ice-T, and I met both of them and it was great. But then I met other artists, and I won't put them on blast here, but who, are kind of assholes to me, which I get it. They get thousands of people are trying to get at him all the time, but it's cool that you can meet him and have a positive experience, because it's not always positive.
Nah, and that's the thing about the underground is we're so misunderstood. People think like, you rap about murder, all these, suicide, darkness, all these things, but it's like we find community, we find peace in darkness, and that's where we find those connections, and we heal each other. It's like everyone is so kind. Like I have had some of my most positive experience with people who write the darkest,
Hmm.
the darkest music, and it's real. Even people who meet me in real life, they're like, you're so calm and collected for as much as you be screaming. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's my outlet. Like, why do you think I do this? Like, if I wasn't screaming, if I wasn't doing what I do, I'd be crazy. I probably wouldn't even be here right now.
So the first time I heard you, I believe, was either the Death Delight album or might have been Evanescent, but that era. And it's on one of those two albums. You had a song where you sampled the theme from American Horror Story Covenant. I don't know which album was that. Was that Death Delight?
I'm pretty sure it was Death Delight, most likely.
I love that sample. I love that song. But that's when I first introduced to your music. And right away, there's not a lot of female horrorcore artists. So it's always a fresh, I'm always interested in finding more. And, I knew the Smalls ones, and Letitia Gore was really making noise at the time, and people like that. But that's when I was introduced to you. Now, talk about the process of making those first couple albums where you're really, not just making songs for yourself or for your friends, where you're really putting it out to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in such a dark place. Honestly, like it had to happen. Like I was just, I sat down one day and I was just writing so much music. I was like, it's time to create a project. I'll talk about Death Delight specifically. Me and my family, I think we were just in California at the time. We were taking just, I think it was like for spring break or something like that. And I felt so in my head that entire trip. Like I was surrounded by family, and I'm like, why am I feeling so, disassociated? Like why am I in my head like this? And I started, I just looked up some beats on YouTube. Earlier in the career, we don't really care about
Hmm.
licensing like that. We
Right.
just looking up, free for profit.
Hmm.
Didn't have a lot of money to spare, so I was just, writing stuff. And I began more of my storytelling, and on Death the Light, it does follow like a progressive, like a storyline, as opposed to my first album. That one is Everything's Corrupt. But Death
Right.
the Light, I definitely owe that. Like, that's one of the deepest albums that I have. And though it was earlier in my career, it still is one of the ones I just still resonate with. It's so authentic and so like unfiltered to the point where I'm just like, ooh, I said that. Ooh, because I have family that does listen to my music, and I'm like, there's some songs on there about y'all, but I'm not going to admit that. I'm just going to say, we just going to, keep it at that. But the creative process, it's always been smooth when it comes to albums. I actually prefer making albums than singles, just because I'm so like not scatterbrained, but I'm a creative powerhouse. Like I can really sit here tonight and write a whole album. Like
Hmm.
it flows very naturally for me. And the only, thing that keeps me from doing that is like, you don't want to oversaturate. Like you don't
Right.
want to drop too much. And you kind of want to sit on things, just, give it time to marinate. You don't want to just, drop it out there like that and just listen to it. So yeah, I mean the creative process. It was real simple for Death Delight. That's my baby right there. I know, and I peep him in the back right there. In the
Oh yeah,
background there.
yeah.
That's dope.
I got that. I got the Everything's Corrupt.
Dang,
Couple of
that's
them
a
back there.
rare
Yeah.
one. Sheesh. Only a few people got that. Everything's corrupt back there.
Oh,
That's
for
a
real.
that's a gem. That one's real rare. I don't even have that album on streaming services no more. Hey,
I was listening to all of them this past week just to refresh myself. But I know that the Death Delight was my favorite out of the three I had, um, and so it doesn't surprise me that that's one that I don't know if it just when people make real music that's really from their soul, it seems like even if you can't put your finger on it, you can just feel that that project is a little bit different than their other projects, and I think that sticks out on there.
yeah, yeah.
But I was gonna ask, I usually ask this a little bit later, but you kind of touched on looking back and saying, "Ooh, did I say that?" Have you ever recorded a lyric, a line, a song that you regretted after putting it out?
Honestly, no. Not that I can think of. Everything I do believe happens for a reason. Depending on the exact time that the song dropped,
Hmm.
what the season was, what the weather was, all these different things I think just factor into, it had to happen. It had to happen. I have a pretty raw version of "Clean Out My Closet." It's a cover by Eminem,
Yeah, I
of
remember.
course, on my YouTube channel still. And there's been times that I'm just like, this song, this is one of the rawest records I have ever dropped. Like it tells like the full story of what I went through when my dad passed away, and it's one of those those songs where it's like I sat down that day and I was like, it's time. It's time to write it all out, because I've dropped little hints in my music of that trauma, and like where a lot of this passion comes from, where my motivation comes from, where it lies. But that record right there, I was just like, I'm just gonna let it flow. It's just had to happen. So I mean, that's one of the songs that I think I've questioned the most of just taking it down. It has like, I don't even know how many views it has. It has a lot of views though. And I'm just like, people resonate with stuff that's so authentic. Like there's songs that I've heard where I'm like, if this artist ever takes it down, it doesn't even matter because I'm gonna download it. But it's like, I'm not gonna, it's gonna hurt if they take it down. And if I can do that for other people that feel the music that I drop, I want it to stay there. It's there for a reason.
And another thing you brought up, you know, you prefer making a whole project than just making single after single. That's kind of a lost art. And another thing I wanted to bring up was, and I wanted to word this correctly. On my notes say, I really believe you. But I think with a lot of horrorcore artists, and it can even be this way with, gangster rap artists, they're very see through. You just don't believe them. As I feel that way with a lot of, and I love the horrorcore genre, but a lot just, I don't know if they're copying someone, they're not authentic sounding, you just don't believe them. But when I listen to your music, I believe what you're saying. I think you embody that Jade the Nightmare character so perfect that, I believe it. I believe that what that person is saying on that record, you know, you're believing it, which is making me believe it. And that's actually, in my opinion, a rarity. I usually feel like it's easy to see through. And it's the same way with, like hardcore rap, because how many times can you talk about shooting someone and, counting your money with, big booty girls around you. So it doesn't seem authentic anymore. But I really wanted to point that out. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but it's another thing that I truly appreciate and is a unique thing. Do you notice that with, that genre or even any other genre? Certain bands, you believe what they're saying, other ones are more see-through.
Absolutely. I totally resonate with that. Like you can tell when certain people just want to fit in. You
Right.
can really tell. And I don't I don't blame them for that. Because even in this genre, it's like, you're so used to being an outcast that you just want to call somewhere home. And there has been times in the underground, I still feel this, where I'm the dark horse. A lot of women don't feel comfortable out here screaming in a microphone. They don't feel comfortable, doing certain things. They want to follow certain formulas that I've worked in the past. But me, it's like, I don't know if it's just because it's like I'm at a point where it's like I don't have much to lose. Maybe it's that, where people just feel like, I'm gonna stick with what works and not try something different. But for me, it's like I just can't. Like, I don't know. I just personally just can't. Like, I have to have like some sort of, distinction between this song and that song. Like, I never want two songs to sound the same. I never want this record to sound exactly like that record. Like, even I've made certain albums where it's like every song is so different in its own way, but it comes together and it's cohesive. Like, and there's just, but yeah, like I totally resonate with that. Like, I can certainly see through certain artists, and
Hmm.
I don't know if it's just like a certain duality that I have, because I don't know. I have like multiple personalities too. It's like, and I'm blending it all together into like this artist that I've created over time,
Hmm.
and it has taken time for me to develop as an artist and really find out like, who am I? And that is an easy question to answer initially. It's like, okay, like, I'm Jade the Nightmare. I'm this person. I was born on this day. All these different things. But over time, it's like, no, certain things question that. They challenge that, and you really progress into who you are. And the sooner you figure out who you are, and the more, essentially what that becomes is, I don't have to fit in. Like, I am my own artist, and people that respect what I do will respect what I do. Like, I don't have to force anybody to listen to my records. People will listen to it if they vibe with what I do, essentially. So yeah.
Hmm. Do you ever, because not only in music entertainment industry, but just women in general, I have a daughter who's 22, so I had kind of seen that when she was younger, like a teenager, the pressure, the peer pressure to fit in, to be a certain way, especially with things like Instagram. And I'm sure you felt that same pressure, younger, and maybe even now. Did you ever feel tempted to kind of be more mainstream, thinking that that would be the best route to go?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
I was like, if I just stop being me, just totally just, put on this facade, because, I want to get back to my family. Like, I'm trying to turn my passion into, a money source. I am
Hmm.
trying to monetize this. And I'm like, it would be so easy to just do what every other female rapper does.
Hmm.
You just sell your body,
Right.
and it's a formula that works. It's a formula that works. And no disrespect to any woman that does that. I'm a full supporter of doing whatever you feel is authentic to yourself. But it's like me, like, I just have to do what feels natural for me. And I have had pressure, from both internal forces, external forces, of just fit in. It'd be so much easier.
Hmm.
Like, you don't have to prove anything to anybody. Just fit in. But I find it harder to fit in than to fit out. It's become so natural to me, where it's like, I expect to, when I walk in a room, people stare at me. I expect when I share my music on like a Facebook page for promotion,
Hmm.
people are gonna be like, what is this? Like,
Yeah,
I'm totally, like, I'm so desensitized to that, and I'm so comfortable in my art
that's
that
good.
I'm just unfazed by it at this point. And it has taken me time. Like, this isn't something that just happened overnight. I've had to go through artists that I looked up to telling me, this ain't it. You should quit. Like, I've heard that before from people that I strongly respected.
Hmm.
But over time, in retrospect, I started to be like, I think, if you're an artist that tells other people to stop making art, what type of artist are you? Like, it comes off as very, like, I don't know the word for it, but I'm just like, it tells more about them on a personal level than,
Hmm.
like, how they really feel about you. I think it's all just about, projecting. And I would never tell another upcoming artist, you should quit. Like, you should try
Yeah.
a totally different profession. Like, I've never had that. I give people feedback. I give people feedback on what I think. And it's like, who am I? It's like, don't take my word for it. Trust yourself, really. It's like,
Hmm.
I don't think anybody should tell really anyone what to do, personally. So.
So I believe your music has really evolved from, those first records where it was more, although it was horrorcore hip hop, it was more hip hop and, you now fuse the, new metal, and I don't know all the different terms, but you fused it with metal rock influences. Um, was that a conscious evolution? Did it just kind of happen? I noticed you also, you play guitar. I think I just saw something where you're playing violin. So that's mad impressive when people can play multiple, any instruments, but, especially multiple instruments, nothing but respect. So was that a conscious decision to kind of evolve from more hip hop side to either fusion or even more metal side?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll just, before I get into that, I'll say,
Mhm.
I'm no guitar god, I'm no violin god. I'm definitely, in my, progressive stages, but um essentially it does feel like a natural progression, just bringing in more of the metal influences. I've always listened to metal music since I was, in early high school, really middle school, honestly. And I was just like, there's so little representation of both women and black women at that, in
Right.
metal, where it's like I would have loved that if I was 12, seeing someone who looked like me just doing that authentically. Because there's so much judgment that comes with that of like, oh, you sound like a man. Oh, like you sound like a demon, all these different things. Where it's like, I'm just going to do me. Like I had to take some time and really put it together where my earlier sound is like goth hop. That's like where a lot of
Mhm.
people, tuned into my style of rap there. And I was like, goth hop can transcend because it's like if it's something that I coined where, I won't take full credit for it. Like there's obviously people who have done, that similar genre before, but it's like I call it goth hop. That's what it is to me. And if I created this, I can transcend it. I can lift it up. I can make it something that can be completely refreshing for people. And it came naturally. Like I think the first record that I like teased it in was my EP Process of Atonement. That one had like a lot more rock influences on it,
Mhm.
metal influences. And I was just like, this is it for me. Like it felt so good to not follow like traditional rap standards, like
Right.
flowing wise, cadence wise, all these different things that I think that often rap can feel very constricting for me. And that's why I had to turn into something else where it's like they don't even know if it's rap anymore. It's like, am I a rapper? Am I a singer? Am I a metal vocalist? It's like people really don't know anymore. It's like I can be multiple things at once. Like I hate being boxed in. And that's something that kind of did for a minute push me away from rap is I felt sort of like people expected a certain thing from me. So I was just like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna turn it into something completely new and just uplift it more.
There's people who like different genres, but then if they become an artist, they usually are picking one. But that you can, cherry pick from all these different genres you like and meld it into something unique is, impressive.
Thank you. Thank
So
you, honestly.
in 2016, it was the 20-year anniversary of my group Rearranged, and we were gonna go out with a bang, one last big album, double disc. So the disc was going to be half people we grew up listening to, wasn't just me, the whole group, and then half, underground artists that we really liked. And on that record, I did a song with you and Letitia Gore called "They Found Out About Each Other," and I still get comments on that, the concept of that record. That was a fun record to do, but I just want to let you know I get a lot of good comments. People think this shit's funny as hell, and I
That was a
appreciate
fun record,
it. It
honestly. Like
was.
I still listen to that record and I'm just like, that's crazy. That's one of those moments where I'm just like, oh, I said that. She said that. Okay. Like it's fun and I love that. That's another
Right.
aspect of rap where it could be so much fun if you just like
Right.
have fun with it. Like it doesn't have to be so constricting. It doesn't have to have a particular sound. Like it
Mhm.
was a very fun record to do.
Out of any artists you've worked with, who was your favorite one to two people to collab with that you've gotten to collab with?
Earlier in my day, well, I still talk to him. K Quick, he's a really good artist. I don't know if you've heard of him before. He's on Facebook. I'll have to send you
Yes.
some links. Send some links your way. Really down to earth guy. Really humble. Really good, like good dude. Honestly, shout out to him. Most recently, I have worked with Scum. I can't drop too many details because I like to respect the confidentiality of
Mm-hmm.
other artists. But I have worked with Scum, and he's teaching me some things. And I've always loved like artists who want to teach other artists. They don't keep everything to themselves. Like they're just so down to earth to teach somebody else something. And he's Scum. Like he's so humble. He's such a good dude.
He was
Just
super mad cool,
he
yeah.
really is, and it's just like crazy. It's like I don't know. It's really dope. But working with him, it's honestly taught me some things and just, reiterated that, like, I don't have to fit into a box. Like, it's just the respect that I have for another artist to put on other artists. I was on his collaboration contest thing most recently too as well, and just it takes a lot for an artist to put on other artists. I don't know what it is, but it's like a I don't know if it's like an ego thing for some artists. I don't want to shed light or show love to other people because they think that that's gonna like eliminate their fan base or something. Like I never understood that concept of like people who like, okay, I can only talk about myself. Like just show love. Like what goes around comes around. It. If you show love, love will come to you. So yeah, those two have been really dope. But really, every artist that I've worked with never really had any major issues with. It's been cool. It's been really cool.
So on the flip side, if you could work with any one or two artists, money's not an option, budget's not an option, anyone alive, who would be those couple artists you'd want to collaborate with?
Mm-hmm. I have always wanted to work with Manson, like always. I've wanted to work with Marilyn Manson. Um, on the rap spectrum, I wish I could work with Tupac. I don't know how we would make it work, like what that would sound like. I mean, shoot, it'd be crazy. I mean, I'm pretty versatile. Like, shoot, I work with it. I've rapped on like some, gangster rap beats
Mhm.
before. I have those records out. And I would just love, like, I love that man's lyricism. Like, I know it might sound cliche because everyone always says my favorite
Mhm.
rapper is Tupac, but it's like, no, like, I really, a lot of the stuff is still so poignant, in the Black community, just people of color, and it speaks to me. Like it has gotten me through some of the darkest moments in my life where it's like growing up, someone who's absent of a father figure, you find father figures in music. You find those people that, take the role of, what a dad would do. And
Mhm.
Tupac is honestly one of those people who's like, sometimes I just need that, like I need that word. Yeah, I think those two for sure. That would be so fire.
And you know what's crazy to think about is all those songs that Tupac made that still resonate today. When he died, he was only 25. I mean, he was
Yes.
young, and think of the music he was making at such a young age. If we could have got another 25 out of people like him or Biggie, and the list goes on, but it it really shows how evolved they were to be at that. You don't appreciate it when you're younger, but now that I'm older, looking back, it's mad impressive. You know what he was spitting at 20 years old or 22 years old or whatever it would be. How would you explain the Colorado slash Denver music scene? I never really got out that way too much. I'm from Wisconsin. Um, what is that? I ask about the hip hop scene, but I don't want to box you in. So music scene in general, underground music scene. How about that?
Hey, shout out Wisconsin. I ain't never been up there, but I mean, Wisconsin seems cool. But there's Denver. Whew, it's a duality. It's a real. I don't even want to say a duality. It's so many different genres. Like it's honestly crazy. Like where I'm from, Montbello. That's like the area I grew up in. It's like a small little area, just in Denver,
Mhm.
and a lot of it's like gangster rap. That's where that is. And then we also got like our trap rappers. We got our trap rappers. We even got our dark rappers. I mean, obviously, Scum being here, it's like we got that whole scene on lock in Colorado. It's insane how versatile, but also like welcoming it is to, all these different genres. It's like you can talk to an artist that's on a completely different wavelength, and it's like we can make this record happen. Like and it comes from a place of like just being versatile. Like you should never feel like, oh, I can't work with this artist because they only make this type of music. It's like, no, talk to them. Maybe they want to make this different type of music. They just don't know if you want to work with them. But Colorado, honestly, like I think I'm here for a reason. Like it's crazy how versatile the city is, and the state is as a whole, really. um I don't know, and the music scene has definitely boomed over time. We've been exploding like crazy. Like don't even get me started on the traffic. Like it's crazy in Colorado. Like it's grown to be like just a hot spot for so many different people, different cultures, different, music influences. But Colorado's crazy. I love it here.
Now, you recently put out a new album. I wanted to give you a chance to, touch on that, promote.
Hey.
So talk about the process, how that album came to be, promote it.
Yep. Yep. This is my newest record here. This is Goth Hop. It has 7 songs on it. Honestly, this record it's heavy. Like it's pretty dark, honestly. This is probably one of my most like unapologetically like dark records that I've dropped, honestly. I mean, even from the cover, it's like I got the dark horse, the 4 horsemen, all types of just, dark imagery and just things of that nature. And lovers of both rap, I think, can find interest in it, because it does have lyricism. It does have that like hate in certain parts, but it does follow like that more rock metal you know formula to it. It's honestly like one of my favorite projects recently, just because it's so just raw. Like it's harnessing a character that I think a lot of people have wanted me to like acknowledge for a long time of myself. Like it's very like, oh shoot, Jade is on this right now. Like it's one of those records that I think I'm gonna look back on and be like, sheesh, like I was crazy back then. But it's fun. It's all fun. Like it's I don't know. It's crazy to say the least. But it's on all major streaming platforms, from Spotify. It's on YouTube. I actually have a video shoot coming up for Bleed You Dry that's going to be track number track number 2 on the album. So, but side note, yeah, it's on all major streaming platforms. You can find it anywhere. Goth Hop by Jade the Nightmare. Yeah.
So now I'm going to move to what I usually call the basic hip hop questions, but you can go beyond hip hop in these questions. So if you could only listen to one artist's catalog for the rest of your life, who is that artist?
Sheesh, that's tough.
It's not fair. I realize that.
Whew, whew. Let me think. What's been in my rotation lately? I've been listening to Susie and the Banshees lately. The Runaways. Oh my God. Like just all female rock band, the Runaways. That's honestly, regardless of all the not the conspiracy, but controversy, all that set aside, honestly, one of my favorite bands. Like I'm a sucker for just rock and roll, really. Like I would probably, just only listen to them. I love Joan Jett, so it definitely would probably just listen to their catalog forever.
So you're getting put on an island. You can only bring 5 albums with you. What are those 5 albums?
I don't even know off top, honestly. Like for an artist that mainly focuses on albums, I never catch the album names of artists that I listen to. It's really funny. Yeah. But I mean, top songs that I love Crimson and Clover. That's my favorite. Born to Be Bad. There's another one. It's evading me right now, but yeah, like I can't name the album. So
a lost tribe from Papua New Guinea comes out to the world for the first time, and they hear about a music called hip hop, but they have no idea what it is. And they approach you, and you have one song that can get the message of what hip hop is to this lost tribe. What song do you pick?
Harlem Streets by Immortal Technique.
More, that's a good Mortal Technique's dope, but not mentioned enough. Yep.
Yep. I don't know when I heard that song. It had to be at least maybe not that long ago, really, a few years back. And I was just like, this man right here. When a song brings you chills, that's how you know that that's hip hop right there. And I'll always have respect for hip hop. Like, shoot, if I go full metal one day, I'ma still just listen to some Immortal Technique, because it's like it's so raw and just so like that's real. Like I'm a sucker for just real music, things that are talking about what's relevant to the world. I mean, shoot, you seen our ocean was on fire. Like there's things that just need to be discussed. There's racial discrimination, all these different things, political things, and just things that, while it's nice to talk about flashing expensive cars, owning expensive jewelry, it's like, you know what, guys, we got homeless people on the street, and we have to address certain things of just, this is our reality. And though music might be an outlet, maybe it can also be our input to why we make change. in my opinion.
Dopest female rapper in your opinion?
I love my ladies. Let me think. That's a toughie. That's a toughie. There's this artist who, she don't seem like something I would listen to, but you know what I mean? I'm all over the place. You never assume. Tierra Whack, really interesting, really very, very interesting artist. Creative wise, she just doesn't fit into that box. And I have major respect for especially female artists that do that, because when you already know there's a formula that works,
Right.
it's like that's all the much better. Like her music videos are insane and so creative, where it's like I listen to them and I look at the video and I'm just like, how do you come up with this? Like, even as a creative individual myself, it's like this is actually like crazy to me. And I have so much respect for her. She's a newer artist, but she really is dope. She really is dope.
So now I'm going to do something I call this or that. I'm going to give you two options. You got to pick the better option in your opinion.
Right, right.
This, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this.
You can only, for the rest of your life, listen to hip hop or heavy metal. Which one are you giving up? Which one are you keeping?
Don't do this to me. That's tough. But I can still make music.
You can still make music, yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I probably go with hip hop because that's my baby. Like that's literally what I grew up listening to. Like without hip hop, like I just can't exist. Like even as far metal as I go, I'm still kicking it with hip hop. Like as long as I can make the music, I'm cool. So yeah, I'd probably choose hip hop there.
Tupac's whole catalog, which you'll probably pick now that I've talked to you longer, or Biggie's whole catalog.
Yeah, you already know the answer for that one. I gotta go with Tupac on this one.
Yeah. Not only the group albums but the individual members all in both of these groups had multiple solo albums. So the whole ball wax from everyone from NWA or everyone from the Ghetto Boys.
NWA goes hard. I love me some Dr. Dre. His beats still just like sheesh. I don't know how the man does it.
Yeah,
But
he's amazing.
Yeah, NWA, I gotta go with that.
So then in that vein, Dr. Dre's A Chronic or Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style?
That's tough. Oof. Ooh. I might do Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre. Yeah.
There really is no right or wrong answer.
Right.
They're very close.
That's tricky. Shoot.
And classic hood movies, Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society?
Menace that is a good oof. But Boys in the Hood, like I still cry
It
to
has a
that.
deep message, yeah.
It is. So I'm gonna go with Boys in the Hood. Like, let's be real. I think I probably seen that one first. True. Did I? I think I did. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Boys in the Hood.
I'm just going to name an artist and tell me the first thing you think of when you hear their name, whatever the first thing is. Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, okay. Community.
I've said this before in other interviews, but I always think I would love to know the dollar amount they've made just in merchandise sales in their career.
Sheesh.
It's got to be astronomical.
It's gotta be. Imagine even for tattoos and stuff, if you could put together like all the money the artists have made from ICP tattoos, that'd be crazy. Yeah.
I know. So no matter what people, some people hate on their music, but it's impossible not to respect, their grind, and what they built is actually very impressive. I got Scum next.
Hey, that's the homie. So, I mean, what word? I'm gonna go with Empire, because he's another one who's built like an empire with LSP and that sort of community.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely.
How about Old Dirty Bastard?
Fun. Who's fun? Cracks me up.
What do you know about Isham?
Not much, honestly. Not much. I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably sleeping, huh?
he's one of the originators of what became horrorcore.
Yeah.
So when
Like
I think of it, I think of Ishan.
right. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I know him, but I never like sat down and was actually, that into him.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go mainstream with some 50 Cent.
50 Cent. Many men wish death upon me. Struggle. Struggle.
Next, Letitia Gore. Besides doing that song, how much do you know about her music?
I don't know much. I don't actually know much about her actually, but I mean, she seemed cool. She seems really cool. I actually just reached out to her today, so I'm still waiting to hear
Mhm.
back from her. Hopefully, she hits me back. Cause side note, I'm working on a female cipher, all female cipher, underground artist. I forgot to mention
Nice.
that, but it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. I'm hoping I can get all the ladies I want on there plus more. So
Mhm.
we'll see where that goes. And she's definitely one I'm trying to get on there.
Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj. Hmm. Fashion. The girl, though she's a little bit out of my, she's not really in my element, but
All
I
right.
got respect for some fashion. Like I eventually do want to, get more into that a little bit, but I'm here for it. I love her looks.
And speaking, I'm going to sidebar. Looking at your website, it's put together very well, very professional. Great merchandise. You're not just selling your music, you're selling merchandise and packages, and I think you even had different candles and
Hmm.
just outside of the box thinking. I think is great, and I wanted to mention that too. I was really impressed with the website. That's something more underground artists should really focus on, because usually even if they set up a store, it's going to be just their music and maybe a shirt or two. To really think outside the box. Kind of like we just talked about ICP. They sell everything with a hatchet on it, and look at the money they made. So I was impressed with that, and it just made me think of that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very perceptive of my like creative vision when it comes to how things look. Like it was an experience when I had someone filming my first music video for me, and the guy, he was really nice, but he just wasn't trying to, align with what I had in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point on, I was just like, no, I have to be in full creative control of how things are. Cause even for all my music videos, I shoot them, I edit them, post all of that. Like when I say I do everything myself, I pretty much do everything myself, and it's for a reason because it's like I have to protect my, my creative vision. Is like if it doesn't feel right for me, like it's not going to feel right for the people that tap into what I do. Like I have to, have that connection with it.
Mm-hmm. Couple more. How about Tech Nine? Listen to
Tech
Tech Nine.
Yes, I want to meet him. I want to work with him so bad. I really do. A word that comes to mind when I think of Tech Nine is just a king. Like the man has been around for so long and just, stood the test of time, which really goes to show just his music is timeless. His
Mm-hmm.
sound is timeless. Like you listen to Tech Nine and it's like you can always know it's him. You always know it's him. And I really respect him as an artist.
How about Necro? Listen to Necro.
Not so much. I've known, I've known of him in the
Mm-hmm.
scene. But as far as, knowing him at like, any sort of personal level music wise, not so much. But I do plan on getting more, into him, of course.
Couple more. I got Dr. Dre next. I know we hit on him, but
A creative powerhouse, honestly, really talented dude.
Limp Bizkit.
Hey, I mean, shoot, I love me some Limp Bizkit. I mean,
Actually, there's one album I kind of like. The Significant Other album's got some good songs on it.
I like, I'm into, break stuff. I can get into some Limp Bizkit. Honestly, in my earlier little bit of rock influences, I was put onto some Limp Bizkit. And I was like, okay, y'all screaming a little bit, yelling, rapping. Okay, I'm into it. Like I mean, I'm into it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as something that comes to mind, when I think of Limp Bizkit, I'll break stuff. Literally, like that's just the song that I was hearing first. So.
Run DMC.
Run DMC, my mama loves. My mama loves. So, I got respect. I got respect. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know all the members. Like, I don't know what's all going on, but I am familiar. I am, I'm cultured a little bit in the 80s and all that time, but, my mama loves them, so I love them.
Good. Well, that's what I got. Do you have any pluggables to plug? I know you talked about the new album. Where can people get at you on social media? Give them your website, whatever you want to get out there.
Most definitely. So, as I mentioned before, Goth Hop just dropped. It's my full length album of 2021, closing out the year. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, all of those major streaming platforms. You can find me on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Jade the Nightmare. I'm on all of that. I'm even on TikTok now, which I said I was never going to make a TikTok, but I have a TikTok now. But I mean, yeah, message to everybody, as we go into this new year, read some books. These are some of my favorite books right now: Valion and The Book of Lies. These are what I'm reading at the moment.
Aleister Crowley, was he the Church of Satan guy?
Kind of ish. Yeah, cultish.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Philosophy, cults. It's really fascinating to me. But, nourish the mind. I always tell people, learn something that you've been taught to hate. Because it'll teach you things about yourself. It'll teach you things about people that you might not, ever even interact with. So, I mean, that's all I have. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. These things go a long way. And I'm glad we finally got to make it happen, because you know how life can be.
Take care of yourself. Keep making music that you're feeling. I love that you're not trying to be someone you're not. I truly appreciate it once again. And have a good one.
Peace. Hey, have a good one. Peace.
Welcome to the album. Nonsensical existence must not ever be experienced alone. This is Goth Hop 2021. Enjoy.
Away. When I walk in, what you gon' say? I'm sapphic, I'm a marksman, no capping, I'm awake, can't say let's get a who, me, don't open your eyes, you don't wanna see, when my shadow lies, doing work on me, pull the back of the flies, in me, who gon' try, I go crazy, like I'm the king, for it, rubbing, rub like I'm safe, for it, demons raise up, say my name, for me, this, which ain't normal, bow down, saying mistress, behave, for me, take a bitch, ain't got none on me, I devour in threes, bring the patriarchy to my knees. You take what's mine, not wrong. I'm alive to die, fun not lies. If you think I won't kill for mine, go ahead, try. It's time. You take what's mine, not wrong. I'm alive to die, fun not lies. If you think I won't kill for mine, go ahead, try. It's time. Spit in your damn face. I don't got no time to waste. Nobody, no trace. Moment I'm on a possession. Put away embrace. Words on the possession of connections. I'm not your average woman. Covered rolling deep. Be careful of what you say in the presence of me. Matter of fact, do not speak. I am Jade. Don't like with me. You judge. I cuss. You bleed. I like blood. You see. I feast upon those that don't respect me. No peace, I'll say it again, you and me, we're not friends. You kiss my feet, I get no kid, don't come for me, less I did what you think they won't see through my blood, we see swallow the truth, like a fool me like Helen, you know to the queen, I let us out of your screams, so you're not my pets, cannot escape me, even in your wildest dreams, from my eyes red like beef, yes I mean this is agony, matrimony, and I freaking love it. Welcome to hell, beloved, hell rise, and I love it, angels die, and I love it, you finally see the evil that's around you, and I love it. Baby, I go crazy like I'm paid for it. I'm worth it to crimes and I'm paid for it. You must raise up, say my name for me. This reality all real, no fake, not true. Just things I watch you. I let the bake and I burn you. I'm smacking you back to back, some in the black bag, dragging you back to backpack. I don't like on snack, so don't tag. There's whole tips in the backpack, young kids sit back. Tell you to take what's mine, not wrong. I'm alive, don't die, fine, not lying. If you think I won't kill for mine, go ahead, try. It's time. Tell you to take what's mine, not wrong. I'm alive, don't die, fine, not lying. If you
all time. You look to the stars, I wonder why the waves collide in the ocean. Purpose reflect the lean you behold as I. My debt is not to make my mother cry, but to tell the truth and you have to try. And arise, and arise, and arise. I am neither more than all poses. Hell rules me, I'm in a show so slow, so slow. I am only virtue depending on the host. My children follow my every word, they know that I don't. No time to be sung, that find about rocking you alone. Let them advance to what was stolen from. Let your fire, do not fear the unknown.
Baby, make this raging